National Missing Persons Week is held every August in Australia to raise awareness about the issues surrounding missing persons. Loren O'Keeffe is the founder of the Missing Persons Advocacy Network, and she is now a leading voice on this issue. So Loren, last year when we had a chat, you were just talking about the idea of MPAN, and now we're sitting in the offices of MPAN.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. It's completely surreal that now, it's turned from a crazy idea that I had for the 2 years after Dan went missing to then applying for a grant, getting the grant, and now having an office and volunteers and a logo and a website. It's just been incredible. You can come here to missingpersonsguide.com and make your way through a checklist. Really simple ideas. We've got things like contact lists for media. So you go in and there's a spreadsheet of every single media outlet in the country. So you can sort of target what platforms you want to, access and what areas in the country that you think are relevant to your circumstances. There's also things like public transport. So if you think that your loved one may have caught a train or a bus, in a certain part of the country, you can come here and there are email addresses and phone numbers so that you can directly contact those industries that may pertain to your set of circumstances. So it's really all about efficiency, because when someone goes missing, time is really of the essence, and you need to, make the most of it by doing things like, setting up a poster. So here you can create a poster in a matter of minutes rather than hours. You can't afford to be faffing around like wondering what font to use and where to place the picture and what details to include. Here we've got prompts, things like an email address and a phone number. So when I first made Dan's missing persons poster in the first few hours of him going missing, we forgot to include a phone number. Like, how ridiculous that sounds now, but in that context you are not thinking clearly.
So it's a good starting point, would you say, for all these people that are looking for their loved ones?
Definitely. I mean, you need somewhere to turn. When police deem a case non-suspicious, so if there's no crime associated with the disappearance of someone, then police don't really have a lot of resources, which is understandable. I mean, crime is, their main priority, and so families that don't have those resources through the police need somewhere to turn. And the purpose of the Missing Persons Guide is to really help them to help themselves, rather than just sitting back and hoping that the police are, looking for your loved one, or that they'll be found another way. So being active and feeling as though you're reaching, or at least working towards, the ultimate goal of finding them is very important to those that are left behind.
So as the founder of MPAN, what do you think is essential in the early stages when you suspect that a loved one is missing?
I mean, every case is different, very different. I mean, missing persons is a very wide umbrella. I mean, it's this year the focus for National Missing Persons Week is on dementia. So a lot of, elderly people that are suffering dementia go wandering and then become missing. So that's one element. There's also mental illness, which is the case with Dan. He was suffering depression, which the majority of missing persons cases do pertain to mental illness. There's also things like abduction or even accidents. So it's really up to the family, I guess, to determine what direction they think is most appropriate given the circumstances of their loved one, because they know their loved one better than what the police do or what the public do.
So what's next for MPAN?
This year, for National Missing Persons Week, we will be going up to Corindai, which is a town just south of Tamworth, to be involved with a picnic. It's a fundraiser to sort of honour the woman who's hosting it. Her cousin went missing about 20 years ago, and that was the location of their family picnic. So it's a fundraiser for MPAN and other missing persons initiatives, and I'm currently in talks with Victoria Police about getting the Missing Persons Guide included in the police manual, so that it's sort of a matter of course when someone is reported missing in Victoria that the families are directed to the guide if they feel like they need more support.
And how has the establishment of MPAN helped with your search for Dan?
I knew when I founded MPAN that I was going to have to step back from the Dan Come Home campaign to a certain degree. I mean, Dan and the campaign to implore the public to help us find him is obviously the precursor to MPAN, but it got to a stage where I really felt confident that the Dan Come Home campaign was kind of self-sufficient. Like, we've got over 52,000 Australians now on the Facebook page who are still, putting up posters in their workplaces and putting bumper stickers on their cards and sending us text messages to the hotline phone of homeless people that they think might be Dan, or people that they pass on the street that resemble Dan, and being alert and aware of him and keeping him in the forefront of their minds is really encouraging. So with that, I thought, okay, I can sort of step back a little bit and focus on the bigger picture and try and give the opportunities that we've had through the Dan Come Home campaign to families that really need it. There was a man that recently got in touch with me whose brother's been missing for 23 years, and he has had very limited media attention over those 23 years. And within a couple of weeks of meeting him, we got his brother in the big issue. We've got it in a few weeks' time for National Missing Persons Week that'll be across every branch of Bank of Melbourne. And he's just over the moon. Those opportunities weren't around when his brother first went missing. We've got to acknowledge that the families that are left behind really desperately need the help of the community around them. And so public awareness is absolutely crucial. So having faces out there, posters on street lamps and at the library and at the town hall, and having it in the newspapers and dedicated TV airtime to get these faces out there is giving those families hope, which is immeasurable. I mean, really, in this circumstance, it's the only thing that you've got.
Loren, you stand as a beacon of hope for hundreds and thousands of Australians looking for their loved ones right now. I wondered, in moments of weakness, where do you draw strength?
We are very fortunate to have the amount of public support that we have for the Dan Come Home campaign. So every day I have an injection of hope. Deborah Melman, who's our ambassador, has been invited to participate in Mental Health Week in October, and so she recognises the synergy between mental health and missing persons, and only agreed to the gig if she was able to represent MPAN. And so she called me asking if that was okay, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely more than okay. Knowing that we are not alone in the search for our brother gives me hope every single day, and with that I have every reason to believe that we can emulate that kind of hope for other families in this predicament. So we decided to launch a campaign called 100 a Day, because 100 Australians are reported missing every single day, which is just alarming, and it's only really across National Missing Persons Week that the public are told that 35,000 Australians go missing every single year, or one every 15 minutes.
So that's quite a lot of people that are affected.
Huge number, because when one person goes missing, research shows that at least 12 more are directly affected. So that's emotionally, psychologically, financially, and that's a conservative, figure. I mean, it's far more than 12 people that have been impacted by my brother's disappearance. So when you think about 35,000 times 12 every single year, it's 500,000 Australians that are directly impacted by this issue, yet we still don't have an adequate platform for those people in this country. So that's what MPAN is trying to change.